Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that will help you to unleash what you were born to bring. I chat with heart-led experts and I ask the questions that I know you're thinking about, and then we explore conversations that will spark growth and shift perspectives to help you show up fully in life, at work, and for the people around you. So today we are exploring how to turn life's hardest moments into your biggest breakthroughs. And this conversation is worth your while because when you expect opportunities to look obvious and easy, you can miss the ones that have the power to be life-changing. So if you're in the thick of something right now and you're feeling stuck or exhausted and you're really just trying to find your way out, today's conversation will help you to see what might be missing and show you how to move through life with more ease and flow, even when it feels complicated. So I'm your host, Linda Bucher, and if the life you are in no longer fits you, this space is for you. Because through this podcast and through my coaching, I guide you to shed what no longer fits, to reconnect with your gifts, and to bring your life into alignment with who you are and what you want. And if that sparks something within you, you can find me at lindabucher.com. Now, once again, our topic today is how to turn life's hardest moments into your biggest breakthroughs. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Rachael Lou Phillips, and she's an executive life coach who's making her beautiful ripples in her unique way. Rachael works with successful, driven women who have lost themselves in the pursuit of success. She helps them to reconnect with their inner happiness and create the life that they desire. So, Rachael, thank you so much for being my guest today on Conversations Worth Your While.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It's so great to reconnect with you. We have worked together in the past, and you always had such a beautiful spark. And I love the work you're doing. And I hope that you can tell our audience a little bit more about what you're doing and who you do it for.
Yeah, thank you. So I help support driven women who have created this amazing success. Sometimes we think the success is the be all end all, and that's what you've been wanting, your whole career, your whole life. And then you get there and you realize that somewhere along the way, it's not bringing you the joy you thought, or you lost your connection to yourself, or you burned yourself out, and you kind of feel yourself just feeling a bit lost. And so what I love to do in my coaching is help bring women back into connecting with themselves, listening to themselves, loving themselves, and taking action on themselves.
Amen. Woohoo. I,
Yeah.
I was that woman a long time ago, back in like the early 2000s. And I was in the pursuit of what I thought success was supposed to look like. I know what that, and it looked all good on paper, but I was like, okay, why do I not feel good? What feels wrong and what feels off? So
Yeah.
it's a really important work that you're doing.
Yeah. And it's hard because sometimes you talk to people and they're like, but your life looks so perfect. Like, what is wrong with you? And it perpetuates that belief that, well, something must be wrong with me, that I'm not happy when I have what I've been chasing and wanting.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with you. It just means you've been chasing and wanting something that doesn't align with who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not really going to be our topic today, but it's such good information. So, all right, so today we're talking about all the hard stuff in life, and how it is the stuff that brings you to your biggest breakthroughs. So let's talk about hard stuff. Let's start with that because I think our audience, like everyone has really hard stuff, and we want to, we look around and other people's lives seem to be so fancy on the outside, especially if they're scrolling social media. I mean, it seems like, oh, they got it all together. Why is life so hard for me? But we all go through really, really hard things. So let's talk about hard. So what's
Okay.
something hard? And let's not talk yet about your breakthrough, but just about the hard thing.
Yes. So first of all, I do believe that, there's hard stuff and everybody has their level of hard. But one of my hardest moments was getting the news that I had breast cancer. And, it was right at the beginning of 2020 when COVID, everything was shut. So the world was already kind of scary. And then I got the news that I had breast cancer, and my kids were only 7, 5, and 3 at the time. So very, very young. And navigating, anytime you're put into a box of whatever, woman, man, stay-at-home mom, cancer, there's all this the rules of what it's supposed to look like, and navigating those emotions and the fears while in a space where we weren't necessarily allowed to it was harder to connect with other humans and receive support. It was rather scary. My kids were really little, like I said, but you look back and you want to protect them and you're thinking about all the people, and it brought up just a lot of growth and fear. Sometimes you always have those moments of like, why is this happening? Or how can this be happening? What did I do to get to this space? Right. But I was able to work through and shift my perspective on it. But initially, when you hear the words cancer, the world, doctors, everybody puts you in the box of you're supposed to be scared. You're supposed to do what you're told. You're supposed to, not think freely at all. You're supposed to just, live in this box of the rules. And that was hard. I mean, it was unbelievably hard. Having to tell my children what I was going through was hard. Different levels. Having to tell my parents, and then also just working through. I went through 6 surgeries in 7 months. Just through all the different complications that I had, as far as, you find the cancer and then you realize it's in different places. And I had a double mastectomy. I was 41. Honestly, I thought I was healthy. There's that quote there. I ate organic already. My makeup, plant-based, my hair is natural. I breastfed my babies like on paper. It was supposed to be, I should have been, healthy. But I think the hard part was just navigating the outside world's pressures. And also, as women, we prioritize other people. I was thinking about my husband, my parents, my kids, and then that just amplified all the hard, because you have all these people and these factors in it. Yeah. So yeah,
and all the time you're trying to kind of squash your own fear because you want to be there for those other people around you.
Yeah, it becomes a series of just get through this.
Right.
So that I can, keep going. And sometimes you don't even realize how much you need to feel and process until you're done. And everybody's like, wait, you're done. You're good. You crossed the finish line. And that's when all the feelings and everything can hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people have to navigate these really scary diagnoses, physical diagnoses. And it's really hard. And even though today we're going to share about our breakthroughs that came out of these, we don't want to minimize at all the fact that this is life's really hard, big stuff. One of mine, and if listeners have heard this before, I apologize for it again, but when I was, so here's what's so wild, okay? I was the same age as you, and my kids were 3, 5, and 7 years old.
Crazy.
On May 3rd, which is coming up 20 years ago, when I woke up, and my husband did not. He died in his sleep. And he was healthy, lifting weights, working out, doing his thing, eating carefully. And he just died in his sleep of basically an aortic aneurysm, not something you could, do anything about if you didn't know it was there. And so that, in that moment, my life shifted as well. I became a sudden widow and a sudden single mom. And the fears that were surrounding me were, how do I tell my children their dad's gone? How do I manage? How do I mother these children? I'm grieving as well, but I got to be there for them. And then, I'm not the only one grieving besides me and my children. Other people, our friends, our closest friends, our closest family, they're all grieving, and and my parents and siblings are all worried about me and my children. And so there's all this worry going on around you as well. And I was in a fog for like a year and a half. Like it was crazy. It was a time warp. It was basically a time warp in my life, because I'd be like, oh, that happened like 6 months ago. And it would happen like, no, that was 2 years ago. But I lost like a year and a half of the concept of time, because I was just in a fog trying to do the very best for everyone when I was also dealing with this. And so we have not just our own internal fears, like you mentioned, we have our internal pressures we put on ourselves of like, we've still got to be there for everybody else. Like my kids didn't have another parent, so I got to hold life together for them. And then the pressures of the outside people, their worries and their fears, and they're telling us what we ought to be doing. So regardless of whether someone's big issues, like biggest challenges in life, the hardest, messiest things are something like a cancer or something like a losing a spouse or, or the death of any close person. Or for some people, it's catastrophic to have to be laid off or have their career just blown away, or they have to move or their house burns down. Like there's so many awful things that happen to us in the world. And the title of our episode today is about how, right? It's about how to find our biggest breakthroughs. But the real truth that's that in my opinion is that the biggest breakthroughs can only be found in the hard stuff. The harder it is, the bigger the breakthrough. That's what I've found to be true.
Yes.
So let's talk about the breakthroughs themselves. Like if you wouldn't have experienced this whole, not just breast cancer, but all the stuff around it, all the complications and all the difficulties and all the pressure, internal pressure, external pressure, all those things. Like if you hadn't gone through that, you would never have had a certain breakthroughs. So let's talk about what those are and how you came by them.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I had already started a bit of a growth journey within the way my energy is and my mindset and the connection and the power we have within that. And so I think breast cancer was the opportunity to really go all in on that. It's like the universe was saying, okay, Rachael, you're going to believe this. How deeply are you? Can you do this? And I immediately, even when I shared on social media that I had breast cancer, I used the words, I'm currently overcoming, or breast cancer is my growth opportunity. Like even the words, because even going to doctor's offices, I had to hold this ground. First of all, everybody was wearing masks, which makes it very hard to communicate and everything. Half the time, my husband, no one could go with me. So, but I wanted to have this energy of, this is what's happening. We're going to talk positively. We're overcoming. There's no negative, to the point where I get compliments from the doctors and the nurses of like, wow, we're not used to seeing people like you in this space, because I didn't want the energy of doom and gloom and like, oh my gosh, I was putting myself in the vibration of believing that this was an opportunity, that I was going to heal, that I was going to expand in some way. And so I wanted the people around me to give me that energy. I didn't want the negative energy. Really also having to hold the boundary of fear, which like I really embodied the belief that it's love over fear, because at any point right then I could totally fall apart because of the fear. I mean, any one of us at any time in life, crossing the street, getting on an airplane, whatever. But it's really choosing love over fear, love of my life, love of what I was creating, love of my family in every moment. Like when the fear would keep, try to trickle in. And just like little things, you started to pay attention to like myself and my body and what I was telling it and what I was allowing. Like after my first couple surgeries, like they didn't get the cancer all the way, so it took a couple different surgeries to be able to fully be cancer free, and the reconstruction and everything. But I had a very hard time resting, like as a mom of three kids. Now granted, my parents came into town to be with the kids, but you're not supposed to lift your arms, and you're supposed to rest. But there's, for us who are driven, it's hard to turn that off. And I was like, no, I'm going to get out of bed and I can do it, and blah, blah, blah. And I really had to work through that. Like, okay, what about me is telling myself that I can't lay in bed longer, knowing I just had these, a major surgery, and I cannot allow that. So I really started to look at like, okay, why is this behavior? And what am I telling myself? And what is the belief behind that? And what gets to shift to really, and the biggest thing with anybody who's had cancer is you want to be able to look at it and say, okay, what caused it? So what can I do to prevent it? And that really took me down into this deep of like, okay, on the outside, yes, I ate healthy and I exercised. I was a good weight. My product, and even my cleaning products were clean, but it was the internal dialogue and the pressures I was putting on myself. Again, I had it all. Like I had a beautiful house and my three happy kids, and I was running a little, at that time, my coaching business was on the smaller side. But obviously, my body was speaking to me that something was off. Even though I had created this external success, something was not feeling right, and something was out of alignment within myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. We brought up a lot of good things. So many. I was like writing with my pen because I want to address them. The first thing that I want to, and I do this because I like to punctuate what my guest shares a lot of times. And you and I, we are basically our work is like this. We're doing the same type of things but there's a coach for everybody and,
Mhm.
we're doing the
Mhm.
same type of things. So, and we have like, we could be mirroring each other. It's hilarious, actually. This is awesome. So, first thing that I wanted to bring up that you mentioned, is how you talk about it, right? How you talked about cancer. So I never wrote this blog, and it would be very controversial, but this title was in my head since 2010. And it was called Hope is a Four-Letter Word. And it was because hope has built-in doubt. Means I hope, but there's also, versus what you had and what I choose is to believe. The belief doesn't have built-in doubt. I believe I'm going to get through this. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but I'm going to get through it. I believe. And when
Yeah.
you believe, the power of that, and you talked about it, it extends to the staff in the doctor's offices, right? So extends to your children. If you believe, then they want to believe. If you have doubt, they're going to have doubt. If you are showing fear, they're going to have fears. Children, especially, they just look at us like, how should I be feeling? And I used to tell my kids that when they were really little and they would be freaking out about something like being afraid. I'd say, look at
Yeah.
me. Do I look afraid? And they'd say, no. I say, when I look afraid, you should be afraid. When I look afraid,
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah,
need to be.
exactly.
And they even tell me now in their 20s, I just look at you, mom, and if you're not afraid about something, then I realize I don't have anything to worry about.
That's
You know,
beautiful. Yeah.
so how we talk about it. And I want to also bring up, especially for like we hear cancer survivors. Now, I had to go through chemotherapy. I didn't have any surgeries or anything related to, I've had a lot of surgeries, but not related to cancer. Well, maybe one. But I had to go through chemotherapy for 6 months when I was very like 20, I don't know, 28 years old, something like that. And it was very scary, obviously, I'm gonna lose all my hair or whatever, and um people use this term widely, a survivor. I am a cancer survivor. I am a survivor. And it occurs to me, and I don't know what you think about this, okay, but it occurs to me that the word survivor keeps tying you to the difficulty. And so it ties to your identity. I am, when you say that I want to be very careful about which words I choose after the
Mhm.
two words I am. And
Mhm.
survivor is not something I want to be. It feels like, oh, I've been treading water surviving for, decades. My arms are so tired, you know. So instead, I'm really careful about how I use those words. And so, I overcame cancer. The way you put that, I want to punctuate it because it's not like, it's not about me. It's something I overcame, which also segues into my next point, which is instead of being survivor, which is also, it's not victim me, but it's still a victim of the challenge, right? Victim of
Mhm.
difficulty.
Mhm.
You put on your hero hat, right? And you said, okay, when this happened, I did this, which is
Mhm.
a far cry from when this happened, it happened to me, right?
Mhm.
So that's the difference where people with a victim mentality say, oh, this happened to me, and then I got this, and this happened to me, and I had to go through all these things.
Yeah.
Where the hero's mentality is like, okay, this happened. Like it's like Indiana Jones, right? Like he wakes up, he's in a pit of snakes. Like, shit, why is it always got to be snakes, right? But he's like, gets up, dusts off, he goes, okay, from here, now what? So that happened. Now what?
Mhm.
So the hero mentality is like, so that happened, and here's what I did. And that's how you speak about this. And so I absolutely love that. And I wanted to just kind of reiterate what I heard you say from a little silly,
Yeah. No, I love that you're bringing that up because I very much feel that way. I did not like the word survivor at all. Like it just didn't have, I thought like it's not powerful. And I like the word maybe a cancer warrior or something more. But it's funny so that was in 2020 and where we are now, you go through this times where you connect with that as your part of your story and who you are. Like I would celebrate I remember each surgery date and honor the day and celebrate the day. And then, I had this cancer shirts and sweatshirts and stuff. Like it was my part of my identity. And I just recently came up on it in the past year where I don't remember the dates anymore. Like I don't even acknowledge them because I just put in my one cancer sweatshirt in the breast cancer awareness thing. I put it to give to Goodwill because I'm like, I don't need to keep playing in that vibe anymore. Like it served me. I think there's a healing stage we go through where at those dates I wanted to honor, and now I'm beyond that. And I'm no longer letting current life put me back in that vibration of what happened in the past.
Exactly. And I felt the same way. I never could call myself a widow. It felt off. Felt like, well, that's somebody else. That's not me. It's not
Yeah.
my identity. Losing a husband was something that happened. And when it happened, I created a new normal for my family. That's what I did. So yeah. Also, I love that you said you're choosing love over fear. And that's something we can do every day, even when life doesn't give us the biggest challenges, even when it gives us these small ones. Um, and you also brought up that what's natural, like you had to turn off your drive. And that was kind of the part of who you think you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of going to be segueing into our breakthroughs now. And you mentioned that you had to shift how you thought about things. You had to examine the belief systems you had been operating under.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do the same thing. I mean, that this is the pathway forward. So now let's talk about your biggest breakthroughs. What were your biggest breakthroughs? Wouldn't have had if you didn't go through that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Biggest breakthroughs. I mean, definitely the idea of that being still and calm often is like the most important thing that we can be doing. I think we get stuck and constantly doing. Um, I started to definitely implement that my children got to help me and like that it was okay, like to ask them for help, like they played a part in everything. Like up until then, I think I was trying to be like the super mom for them versus like letting them go through this with me, which was really kind of cool because at first when you're going through something that's hard and then you have children, you're like, I'm supposed to protect you. But then I saw that they were learning just as much through this experience as I was because it was letting them up level within their little human bodies. Um, but I think so. Another huge one is the idea of like what I'm telling myself about every situation. Like you can tell yourself all the hard parts or what you don't like, or you can tell it from all the parts that you do like. And one example is like the day I got the call that I had cancer, my mom happened to have just flown in from a whole other state that day and was with me when I got the call. So I could tell the story of like, oh, well, this cancer happened. Or I could be like, wow, look at how I was supported that my mom happened to be in town. So I chose to like to start to begin to look at how life is serving me and working for me and how I'm supported, that even when it feels hard or pushed to the edge, I'm not alone. Like I have support, and focusing on the love over the fear. And then also another major thing with the love over fear is just realizing that everybody has fear. Like there's gonna be you're gonna go through life. It's not like I'm never gonna feel fear again. It's just like what meaning do you give to the fear? Do you let it stop you, or do you like? I mean, you can exchange fear and excitement for like almost the same vibration, and then know that okay, I'm knocking down a wall, like I'm stepping into the next level. And it was really cool because that's a prime example of that's what I taught my kids during that time. Because also you keep in mind they were going through a mom with cancer and COVID at the same time, which is all it's a lot to bring up with like what the hell's happening in this world, and to like say that we're going to go out and we're going to still live our lives and we're choosing love. um that was another big major one.
Yeah. And these breakthroughs that we have, they inform how we move through life as we go on. So
Mhm.
I look back and I mean, I don't mean it to sound awful, but my husband passing away is the best thing that ever happened to me and my children and to all of my clients and all the way it ripples, I should say, the way that that's rippled. If that hadn't happened, I would absolutely not be who I am today, doing what I'm doing today. I wouldn't have raised my children the same way.
Mhm.
Um, and so the things, like I was not already on my self-growth journey. My husband died in 2006, and I didn't go become a life coach until 2010. So I didn't have all the phenomenal tools and understanding that I have been cultivating ever since 2010.
Yeah.
Um, However, I knew a couple things occurred to me right away. I was in a grief group about 2 months after my husband passed away, and the kids were in a kids grief group. So it was, one location I could go to and they could do their kid crafts or whatever they were doing for them, while I was with other people who were grieving the loss of a spouse. And I had introduced myself. Hi, I'm Linda. My husband died 2 months ago, and I'm here to help myself heal. And the next person introduces themselves and he says, my wife died 12 years ago. And then another woman introduced herself, and my husband died 9 years ago. And immediately I thought to myself, I'm not going to be here 9 and 12 years from now. Are you kidding? There's no way. That's not acceptable to me to be in grief forever. Like, no, I want to, and I'm a quick start. I want to get on with life. So I'm like, okay, come on, let's get this grieving thing over. Of course, it took a long time, but I was deliberate in facing what was happening and deliberate in healing. I chose, and I think you did the same thing. I chose to be like, okay, this happened and there's something that I'm going to get out of it. So what I discovered throughout the years that followed in raising my kids, I discovered that I was the one I had been waiting for decades. It was me the whole time. Didn't know it was me. I was the one. Everything I needed was already inside of me, just waiting to be revealed, waiting for me to be ready to see it. And that all those challenges, all that hardship did not make me stronger. Instead, it revealed just how strong I am.
Mm-hmm.
I have, and everyone I believe has, an inner reserve, this core strength that is untapped until we need to use it. And once we have to use it because there's a big, giant challenge in our life, we realize we have the strength to get through this. And when we realize it, what we want to not do is forget, because the next time life throws a big challenge, we want to remember we have a reserve of inner strength that's amazing, and we can get through anything. And I also want to point out the focus. You mentioned, like the story you tell yourself, right? I decided also to not be that victim-y, oh, poor Linda, I'm a widow and I got to raise these kids alone and whatever. My focus was on, and I mentioned to these people 2 months, I'm in this grief group. And instead, I didn't want to insult them. I didn't say like, I'm not going to be here 9 years and 12 years from now. I just said, maybe this is an opportunity. And I don't know why I said, it was like, just came to me, right? And I said, because I lost a role in my life, the role of wife. I lost that. And that opens up some capacity. And that capacity is where I can find who am I outside of being a couple. Because I don't think I ever asked myself that question. And so I think I'm going to take this time, and I told this group, I think I'm going to take this time to rediscover me. Having no idea that was a precursor of the work I've been doing in the world,
Yeah.
like 10 years later, 8 years later, or whatever. But it's, it's the focus that, what will we choose to focus on? And I chose not to focus on grief. I chose to focus on me, focus on rebuilding, focus on reconnecting with who I am, focus on how to raise my children in the positive way and not the victim-y way. So, and when you say focus on love, I focused on loving me, right? Like that was the thing. So it's huge. It's
A
huge.
lot of it is releasing the way you thought life was going to go. I
Oh,
mean, sure, we were going to be married and, die together or whatever. And I thought I was healthy and blah, blah, blah. I thought, well, how could this be happening? And just like letting go of the control of this is what I thought life would be like, and embracing what is unfolding for you and trusting that possibly it could be a better a better story, a better path. Who knows?
Right. I love that you brought that up. Trust. People don't have that. We're in control because we're trying to grasp at control. And basically, spoiler alert, everyone, there's no such thing as control. You have zero control over almost anything, especially outside of your brain. However, we want to, recognize we have all this power within us. We have all this power within us. And zero control. And when we're grasping for control, we cannot be in a forward moving place. We're just all grasping. We're just completely grasping. So you're saying you don't trust tomorrow when you grasp at control. And like you said, we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for our hardships. And releasing the need to control and instead embracing the big breakthrough and the opportunities that big breakthrough will lead you on. It is your path. And I have a couple things I like to say that maybe someday I shall be famous for. It's probably not concise. However, here's what I like to say. What if each of the steps on your path, on your journey, have more value than where they were supposed to take you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Wow. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So we got listeners and they're like, oh my God, what a super great episode on Conversations with Your Wild. Woohoo, Rachael, yay. Yay. So, and then, they're going to want to like hit play on another episode because it's just so awesome. However, we want to leave people with something really small. So if a listener is going through some big shit right now, or if they know someone going through some big shit and they want to have a little insight, or if they want to be prepared for the next time all the shit hits the fan, right? What's something really small they can do right now?
I would love for anybody who's interested to do. Oh, I'm sorry. I got you.
Yeah.
Something small that they can do. It comes down to, it's very simple. I even have my kids doing it. 3 things you're grateful for in the morning and 3 things you're celebrating before you go to bed. Just like put yourself, get out of what you're supposed to and what you should, and the programming of controlling it, just out of the overthinking and the heart space and the head space, again to the heart space. And gratitude is a beautiful vibration, and celebrating ourselves in the evening. That's what I recommend to clients, and it makes a huge difference. And it's very simple. You don't need to get all fancy with the journal and all the things. You can do it when you're still laying in bed.
Right. No, you're right.
Shower.
I do have the journal. I'm on my probably 10th. They're all lined up because I have a gratitude journal. It's called the 5-minute journal. And that's what it does. In the morning, it says 3 things I'm grateful for. And then and the lines are this long. So I don't have to journal a whole bunch of stuff. like this long. There's one line. How many words can I get in there? Like 6, maybe, if I'm writing small. So 3 things I'm grateful for. And also has another little thing in there. It says 3 things that I would love to have happen today. And I make sure that those things are within my control. Although yesterday I did write a Buffalo Sabres win. And they did. But no, normally it's 3 things I'm in control of, right? And I might write about like a podcast episode, like having a really insightful podcast episode, right? I would love for that to happen. And it is within my power, and it makes me believe, right? So it shifts me into focusing on the good things. 3 good things I'd love to have happen today. And then in the evening, 3 excellent things that did happen. What I'm grateful for at night. What was so great about today. So
and oftentimes we go to bed thinking, oh my gosh, tomorrow, or I didn't do this right. But it's amazing how you take like few seconds, it doesn't even take that long to name those things. You find yourself naturally wanting to build on your little morning routine or your night routine. But I think when we want to go from 0 to 100, we're like, oh, I need to make it this big deal. Then that stops us from doing it. We got to make it easy.
Yeah, that's why I like these little steps. So someone can do that right now. Before you hit play, listener, on the next podcast episode, think about 3 things that you are grateful for. And they don't have to be huge. It could be like this glass of iced tea. Like really, it can be. So 3 things you're grateful for. And whenever you're feeling a little stressed, a little bit overwhelmed, just say, hold up, think of 3 things I'm grateful for right now. because there's always, 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 always something to be grateful.
Very much so.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being a guest on Conversations Worth Your While. And I would love to know if you have anything to share with our audience,
Yes.
and then how they can get it if you do.
Yes. The fresh start framework. I think if, people who believe a fresh start is an energy. It's like letting tomorrow's going to be different or right now is going to be different. And so the formula is all about giving you the tools and the support to really claim your fresh start, to not just have it for a moment, but to get the sustained energy and what that actually gets to mean and gets to do. So it's the fresh start formula. You have the link.
Yeah.
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 So
I'll put the link in the show notes.
yes.
And I think that's beautiful because it kind of really just segues off our, we're talking about gratitude, the little something you can do right now. And I love that you put fresh start is an energy. It's a feeling. It's an emotion.
I even do that with my kids in the middle of the day. Like when life gets hard, we're like, okay, fresh start. Let's regroup, shift the energy.
Right.
It's the energy that you have usually on New Year's Eve or on your birthday, but it can be
Right.
something you can sustain, the excitement and the belief that change is possible.
Right. Exactly. Feeling good about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fresh start. I love that. I will put the link into the show notes. So thank you so much for that. All right. So that's our show. And I'm Linda Bucher, guiding people to know their worth and reconnect to their gifts and create lives that are fully aligned and deeply impactful. And so if you're sensing it's time to bring your life into deeper alignment, you can explore what that looks like at lindabucher.com. You'll find a lot of direction and a lot of clarity right on my website, as well as a chance to get on a chat with me and get a little clarity, 30 minutes, just free. You can book that right on my website. And if today's episode sparked something for you, please share it with someone who might need it, or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And then join me next week for another expansive, uplifting conversation designed to support your growth. So until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.